Milo, is that you?
There, I think I got it. We'll chat with you. Bruce?
Yes?
Is Buzz here? I don't hear him buzzing.
Well, I see there's a bzzz up
Icon.
on the screen, but
Yeah.
I don't hear him, so I assume he's here, but quiet.
I am buzzing name only.
Yes, you are now.
There you go.
That's your AML handle for. That's a pretty good handle. It's no queso cowboy, but it's right up there.
Hey, you had Buzz Aldrin, so there you go. You're right up there with
Exactly.
the second man who walked on the moon.
Yeah, and you'll never be simply known as Buzz. There's only one modeler simply known as Kelly,
It's all my fault.
and it is whatever happens, it's your fault.
It's my fault.
It's everything is your fault, Kelly, and it will be that way for time. You know what? Tonight we're speaking. Kelly, have you ever been to that show? It's the Big E, the one with all the buildings, the Amherst Show, the Springfield Show, the whatever they call it. There's a million names for it.
Springfield Show, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's a million names for it. Have you ever been?
It's the train show that everybody should go to at least once.
You know what? That's a very good point.
That's actually been coming up more and more. It's the bucket list train show. Says something about our age, I guess.
And apparently he's wandered into the studio.
I guess he just wandered down the hall.
Wandered down the hallway.
He
All
came
right.
towards the glowing red light and wanted to see what's going on.
Well, then while he's here, let's remind him that this Monday podcast, like all of our Monday podcasts, is brought to you by those fine folks over at Rapido Trains.
Yeah.
Rapido trains are your fast track to model railroading fun.
There you go. Beautiful.
I just bought some.
Did you?
yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, wow, cool.
Well, there you go. See,
Which ones did you get?
I am modeling the Canadian because it goes by
You
the
got
rail
the
cam.
bug cars.
So I got a whole bunch of the Manor sleepers
Oh, nice.
and a baggage car, a really pretty baggage car.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah. So,
And-
John, recently, Rapido signed on to be the exclusive on-air sponsor of the AML network.
Oh, very cool.
It's very cool. We're very excited. We think that perhaps Jason Tron, the owner, at the time was heavily drugged when he agreed to it, but we're not telling him that.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just going to keep mentioning Rapido Trains on our free channel. So John, you're probably not aware, although I'm sure you've listened to all the podcasts and some of them twice. So every Monday we have a free podcast that's available to the entire world for merely clicking on either through Spotify or amodellerslife.com, blah, blah, blah. And on Tuesdays, we have a paid podcast, which for a few cents a day, you can be part of that podcast. But Rapido Trains has signed on to sponsor our free podcast. So it's very exciting.
Very
It is.
nice.
And
Yeah, I like it.
yeah, we're going to have a jingle and everything. We
Cool.
just haven't made the jingle yet, but
Yeah.
So always remember, the Rapido Trains is
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
exactly. So we have, if nobody's guessed yet, we have John Sacerdote, who is the show director of, what do you call it, John?
The full name is the Amherst Railway Society's Railroad Hobby Show.
And how long have you been the show director?
I don't know, most of my life. Way too long. No, this is my 20th show.
Really?
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Holy moly. So you started when you were 68?
Yeah. This is a very holy job. It's very much like the Pope. You are the show director until you die.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope it's a long director.
Yeah, excellent.
Well, yeah, one can hope, but it really, I find it, and I mean this, it's still fun for me. So, but I find it's getting harder every year. I just am slowing down, and my muscles don't work as well, and thankfully my brain does. But I also am grateful for the 8 million item to-do list that I follow every year to make sure everything gets done. It's a spreadsheet about 3.5 feet long, When it's printed in, it's one.
Really?
Wow.
Holy
Yeah, it's
mackerel.
big. Yeah, there's like 400 items to do on the spreadsheet. But
Do you ever
hey.
do you ever wake up in bed in like a cold sweat and go, "Oh my God, I forgot to do X"?
Yes. Yeah. And just the other day. So
Wow.
thanks so much for getting me that wall space in the Better Living Center. And I went, what wall space? And then I went, oh yeah, an email from about 6 months ago. I remember. The good news is our database is tremendous, and it links every email to the person I'm talking to and the contract that we're speaking of. So when you go to the guy's contract and go, oh yeah, I did say I'd try to get him a wall space 6 months ago, but I said I would only try. And his response was, if you can't find it in that email from 6 months ago, we'll be happy where we are. But the most recent email was, hey, so where's our wall space?
Oh boy.
Oh, it was okay. I actually, there's a whole list of priorities on how you schedule people location wise and everything. And these folks have been coming for longer than my database has been around. So that means they've been coming since before I was show director. And there was a guy against the wall who was there only for 3 years. Now, if you take the COVID year out and the short show, last season, he was only there for like a year. This 4th year would be this year coming. I said, all right, you're moving. And then the longtime exhibitor got his wall space that he actually deserves because he's a great manufacturer.
No, John, when you plan out that, do you do a first come first serve and then based on who they are?
No, yeah. Honestly, here's how I do it. The contracts go out August 1st, and there's a little bit of a dilemma to that in that it's so early. A lot of people forget because the deadline is the end of October. Right. So they have August, September, October, and a lot of people will take advantage of the discount to get your stuff in early,
right?
And yet there's still people that miss the deadline, right. And so every October, most of November, I have to call people, and this year I was not in a good mood, so I sent them all cancellation notices. I said, "I'm sorry, you missed the deadline. You're canceled," and that really got there's 200 clients. Exhibitors, whatever, on the wait list, some of which have been there since 2016. So some of them have been there for a long time. And but I have friends, and you just make friends in this business. And like Lionel, for example, he didn't pay his contract on time, and I had to call him and say he actually was very prompt but as an example, someone didn't pay their contract, but what am I going to do if it's one of the top 5 manufacturers in the country? I'm going to bounce them. I'm not. I'm going to call him and say, what's going on? He goes, oh my God, I forgot, and I truly believe he probably did because I sent the contract 4 months ago. So that's the dilemma of sending them out early, but it takes us that long to get it all scheduled. And, we have to resurvey the building every year because it's never exactly the same. But honestly, it's like, remember when we were kids, we had one of those little 3-inch by 3-inch slide puzzles numbered 1 to 15, but there was one slot empty. Yeah. And you had to get them in order, right? That's what I do when I'm scheduling the show. That's what it feels like to me. And I've always loved puzzles. I get puzzles at Christmas time. And my sister especially would say, here, solve this. In about 3 minutes, I'll say, here, boring. And it's done. So I like doing puzzles. This is like a giant 350,000 square foot puzzle to me. So it's cool.
Now, I was going to say, on your list of things to do, do you have people that take on some of those projects?
Yes, many volunteers. Other people help me call. I have the show office where it's staffed with 2 folks, and they do all the hang tags. They send the contracts out. I'm not putting together packets and sending them out. The office does. The office does all that. Basically, what I do is say, "Are you coming? How many tables? This is what we could do." And then I'll assign space. And then all the office work is done by a couple of fabulous people in the office, and they've been doing it so long now. They just, we work really well together, and we can instant message through the database to one another with a link back to the record that I'm talking about. So they get this instant message, they click on the link, it takes them right to that record in the database, and they see what's going on and what they have to do, because there's a little notification section of what you have to do with that record. So it's cool stuff. It's the database where I used to do a lot of training.
That's what I was going to say. Wasn't your business or your job involving computers and?
Yeah, I had my own company from 79 to 99. And then I went to work as a consultant at a couple places, one of which I was the CIO at a publicly traded search firm. And the software I wrote was for employment agencies, search firms. Right. So it worked out well. I was there for about 3 or 4 years, and then got them straightened out and moved on to a couple other things. And then I wanted to slow down and so to speak. and so I really basically was training for the people whose software I still use, which is a wonderful product. And the name of the company is, believe it or not, Bullhorn, as in, Bullhorn that you talk to and we have your house surrounded, that kind of bullhorn. That kind of bullhorn. But the software is unbelievable. And I started with them years ago, and now they're internationally known, 1,400 employees. And so they slowly, because I'm getting so old, phased me out of training people on how to use the software, which is fine with me because I'm an old geezer now, so I don't need to do so much of that. But they still let me use the software, and it's a wonderful relationship that I have with those guys. And I'll tell you, it saves the day. Back in the day before me, when someone picture a 3 by 5 foot map, and it was to scale, so every 16th of an inch was a foot. So it was a 3 by 5 map of just the one building. And then 2 buildings. And when I took over, I went to 4.5 buildings. But picture when someone moved, because it was all printed out and with sticky labels as to who was where. They cut out that section of the map, and then after they taped on all the new location, and then they literally pasted it back to the other section on a new map, and then took it to the printer and had another one printed, or several of them printed. So it was the original cut and paste. It truly was cut and paste. And, since then we have a CAD guy that does the work, and, it takes 3 seconds to move things around and change and send me another copy. So it works great. And then, I just go to the local Kinko's, FedEx, and print out a couple copies, and off we go.
All right,
so everything is automated, which is a wonderful thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a question that I've asked a few people in the hobby, such as like Tim Wars, or Jason Sean, or other people that have created things in the hobby. Like, Tim Morris is a classic example because he just completely created a new product that, or Jim Scores. Jim Scores and Tim Morris are my 2 classic examples. Tim Morris just absolutely created a product out of thin air, an idea that he had, and created a product, and it's made a huge difference in the hobby. And Jim Scores is pretty much the same thing. I mean, at the dawn of DCC, he drove through the night from Philadelphia after attending a clinic and created NCE, which is a wildly successful company, and it's done. And I've asked both these guys this question, and I think it pertains to you as well. Like, do you have a sense over your 20 years with running the show as well as you do? And for folks out there that don't know, the Springfield Train Show runs incredibly well because of this gentleman. I mean, this man that we're speaking to tonight does yeoman's work year after year after year to create an experience for people that is basically unmatched anywhere else in the hobby. So do you have a sense, John, of what you've done for the hobby in your term as director?
Oh my goodness. I actually like to think I do, but I don't think I do, to be honest. What I see, however, is the hobby disappearing over time because all of us are getting old, retiring, and that kind of thing. So we're trying to do everything we can to get more kids involved. And believe it or not, I think it's working. We open up our the Amherst headquarters, for example, every Saturday now, and we get more and more kids coming to see. And we're always working on some 4x6 or 4x8 layout, and we show them. Or you could go to another layout that's there, just run some trains, and we're building a large model railroad in the basement and a G-scale garden railroad out back, and that's all in the works. There's tons of stuff to do, but and ever since I took over, kids 15 and under coming to this show are free, and you can become an Amherst Railway Society member until you're out of grad school for free. So we're doing everything we possibly can to get people involved, younger people, because one of the things Amherst does, other than run this train show, is we will evaluate collections, remove a basement layout, all for free. If they want us to help sell, we will, that kind of thing. So we'll just help with that. The reason why I mention that is I'm seeing more and more of it, and we get 2 or 3 people call us every month to come and take care of a collection. What do I do with this collection? They have no clue if it's any value. Yet a lot of them see it as their mostly husbands. So a lot of them see this as their husband's lifelong passion.
Sure.
And it's got to be worth $1 gazillion because that's all he ever did. And
that's what he spent, was $1 gazillion.
Dollars.
Yeah. The problem is, and I just had a great example. I felt so bad for the guy. He's 91. He says, I have at least $100,000 collection. And honestly, I'll bet that's what he paid over the last 60, 70 years. But he's had it for so long, it has become worthless. It's old Tycho junk, brass track. Look at all this brass track. I said, it's worth nothing.
Right.
Other than take it to the junk, the scrap dealer and see what you could get for the brass. And he goes, really? He looked at me and he goes, really? I said, yeah, it's just too old. I said, you should have sold this 30, 40 years. I felt so bad. Where were you 40 years ago? And I was like 60.
Yeah. Well, that's a really interesting antidote story, because I think that's a common thing where people, like I've got locomotives here that still run as good as the day I bought them. Yeah, 25 years ago, but they're 25-year-old Cato locomotives, and they're nothing like what you buy now.
I know. I just got a couple of E8As from Rapido.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
And they are gorgeous, and they sound great. And they're nothing like before. And I just think, honestly, I think the stuff is better than brass these days. I mean, they just run so much nicer.
Well, that's the thing.
Oh, I would agree with that. Yeah.
But
you could get some really nice stuff. It costs a little bit more, but hey, what else doesn't? Everything costs more.
You were talking about kids getting the hobby. I assume you're talking like teenagers, mid-teens, and younger, or
yeah. And even guys that have settled down. They had the passion. Same thing happened to me. I had the passion until I went away to college, and then I couldn't do anything with it. And then when I started teaching school back in the early 70s, and I said, let me put this kit together. And then and that was out in Dayton, Ohio. And then I bumped into a couple of guys out there like Alan McClellan and Don Santel. And I said, oh my God. And boy, did they ever get me hooked again. I was amazing. I was fortunate enough to operate at Alan McClellan's original layout a couple of times. Don Santel, he lived about a mile from me. I operated on his layout all the time. It was just amazing.
Yeah, Don Santel was he was part of that whole area.
That's exactly right, Lionel. Don Santel and Alan McClellan had that fake lawsuit going on between the railroads.
That's right.
It was hysterical, and they, they did all the paperwork, and not with attorneys, of course. But
I remember that.
It went on for years, and a lot of people out there thought they were serious. About trackage rights and all this other stuff. And it was just a lot of fun for them.
I remember that, but I think that's what people, you say you think the hobby's getting old, and I don't see it at all that way. I see just the opposite. I think because of social media and the fact that younger people can connect, I think the hobby's getting younger and it's growing like crazy.
Listen. I think we're headed in that direction. But I think all the people that have set the standards are slowly going away.
Sure.
But yeah, that's the way it is. But yeah, I see a lot of younger guys coming along. I see more and more young people at our show.
Yeah, I going to say that I've been to a few of your shows, and there's certainly a fair number of younger modelers there walking out with bags full of stuff.
Yeah, well, and we have. You should see the layouts we have this year. We've got some giant layouts this year. We've got the Reading Historical Society. They have a layout that's 18 feet wide, HO scale, and 160 feet long.
Wow.
Yep.
Honestly, I had to rearrange all of the Mallory building to fit it in. And in that one building alone, there's 17 layouts.
18 feet wide and 160 feet long?
Yeah, and it's fully scenic.
Holy moly.
And then there's two G scale layouts in there too. The New Hampshire guys that have just a great layout, and then the upstate New York guys, the Westchester County guys are going to be there. And for the first time ever, a Fremo N scale railroad. I shouldn't say first time ever. They were here last year with 750 square feet. He called me at the beginning of the season, which was summer, and he says, "John, I got guys coming from everywhere." I said, "What do you need?" He said, 3,000 square feet. I said, "Done."
Oh, wow.
That's twice the size of my house.
Wow.
And so is the Mallory building pretty much fully occupied now?
It's full. In the past, I left about 15,000 square feet in the back for the trackless train for the kids to turn around.
Exactly.
And then a little bit further back, I used to allow some people to store their trailers inside, just as an extra feature, as long as there was space. And I had to throw them all out. We're taking every square inch of Mallory this year. Yeah, it's crazy.
So how much space have you got this year then, total?
Probably, if you count the outside where Adaville Maine Locomotive Works is bringing down a 2-foot narrow gauge live steam locomotive again on 100 feet of track. If you count the outside, it's approaching about 375,000 square feet.
Wow.
Instead of 350. Yeah, that's about, if you do the math, it's like 9 acres.
I got some bad news for you, John. This hobby is not going anywhere. It's only getting bigger.
No. Yeah.
And the social aspect. Actually, our buddy Uncle Dave Abel, he came up with a great. I think it's a lifestyle. It's becoming a lifestyle for people to be in this hobby.
I love the fact that there are people out there, especially the scenery people, that are doing things to help. And there's a lot of individual groups out there that are doing things with the kids as well, and women in model railroading as well, which is great to see.
Yeah, that's
and they will all be at the show this year.
Excellent.
NMRA International is having all their winter meetings at our show this year. They're importing 50 to 60 people from all over the world to come to this show.
Yeah, who's the president of the NMRA now? Anybody know?
Gordy Robinson.
Some guy from New York.
Guy from Scotland.
Yeah, some guy who lives on a rock in the north of Scotland.
I'll tell you.
I think he has an accent.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
But, he's actually in charge of, don't quote me, but he's got a lot to do with IT at this entire hospital. So he's a smart son of a gun.
He is a smart son of a gun and very personable. We love Gordy. Yeah. We feel like we had a small hand in helping Gordy become president here at the old age.
Well, that's great. He called me way back when, and he said, "John, do you know more NMRA executives come to your show than our national?" And I honestly felt bad at that comment. And I said, "Well, look, I said honestly, just by numbers, statistically speaking, we're about 5 times the size of you. So I would expect about 5 times as many people, but that's just because of the size, And he goes, "Well, we want to have our meetings at your place this year." And I said, "Let's do it."
Well, let me answer the question for you then, John, on your behalf. You have done what you have done for the hobby over the last 20 years. You should be extremely proud of yourself because it's not just that you ran the show. It's that you've helped push forward and create an atmosphere for the hobby that wasn't necessarily there before. There was a start and there was lots of people, but I mean, the amount of work that you've put into this, you should be very, very proud of yourself.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I do. But here's my it's not a but here, but I'm saying but. But here's
Not
my
a but,
here's my
yeah.
but. Let me say this: I don't see this as competition. There are some other shows out there that see this as competition. I absolutely do not. I want everybody to have a great show. I see this as promoting one of the most fabulous hobbies I've ever experienced, because you could do so much in this hobby. We've all heard one day you could be a carpenter, one day you could be an electrician and an artist and a scenery. I get all of that, but that's what's so good about it. That's what's so true about it. So all I care about, I heard Train Fest, for example, had great numbers on Friday. I said, "Oh my God, that's the greatest news I've ever heard." And they go, "What? What do you mean?" I said, "Are you kidding me? We all are in this together. Otherwise, none of us will have a show."
Right.
So
yeah, that's true. But there's
I've got people from other shows. I welcome people to come to our other shows and have tables at our show. If you put on a show, you can have a table at our show for free. Just to promote the hobby.
There you go, Kelly.
Train shows coming to the show.
There you go, Kelly.
Gotta have a legitimate show, though.
Yeah.
It's legitimate. I do it every year.
Oh yeah, Kelly, who lives. He lives.
Seriously, I'm teasing, of course, but that offer is for real.
This fella,
John, the guy from Colorado, John.
Yes.
He comes every year.
What's that show called? My Rocky Mountain Train Show.
Rocky Mountain, yeah. It's the first weekend in April. The other thing we want to do is really get together. Much in a setting like this, of course, or it'd be fun to meet once a year in person to get to know all these people. But we want to try to do things so we don't bump into one another, so that it makes more sense. Because you got to get good exhibitors at all of these shows. You don't want to have a back to back. Sometimes you do, though. If you got one show one weekend and then they could go to another show the next week, as long as it's not really interfering. But the other thing we were talking about doing is. What can we do to standardize what kids could get into so that we're all doing the same thing? Some sort of modular kit or something that people could do. It'd be fun if we stay consistent and try. Can you imagine kids from all over the United States having the same modular system?
Or all over the world. Or all over the world.
Yeah. Why stop there?
That's actually a great idea. Like some sort of standard small 1 foot by 2 foot module that you could build and if somebody wants to build 10 of them, great. And if they want to have one of them, that's great too.
I think that's called T-Track, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't understand T-Track.
Well,
I never understood it, but you're looking at modules that are small size that you can do whatever you want on. So
there's a 30 by 30 T-Track modular system at our show. And you could see, and it's pretty ingenious, but it's tiny. I want to do it in HO scale. It's more readily available. It might be a little bit more, but keep the module small. 2x4 that could fit into any car these days, especially all the SUVs.
Well, you could do Fremo, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, Fremo's 2x4.
That's true.
Yeah, and somehow encourage kids to get into the Fremo for sure.
Yeah, it would actually be easier. I'd rather it be a Fremo. But we have a Fremo layout at our show, and they every year are trying to do bigger and better things.
It's always massive too.
Oh God, yeah. That layout, I'm actually looking at the map because I forget the actual dimensions. But that layout it's actually bigger than the Reading Technical Society. Their layout is about one spot it's 20 by 30, but it extends for 204 feet.
Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And they have to have multiple power drops because it's so big.
Wow.
So,
I just had a great idea, Bruce. Tell me if this is a good idea. Kelly, you can
fire away.
And Buzz, I'm interested in your opinion too. All this is exciting. Bruce, I think you're really the man to handle this question.
All right.
Would it not be great to have John in our group photo on Saturday?
Absolutely. You bring him over to the AML land and have him.
Oh my gosh. Because that photo gets bigger every year. John, you got to be in our group photo at Saturday at 2:00.
Oh, sure.
All right.
Yeah, I'll just hustle over to section 4 and I'll be there. You just gotta remind me.
I will. Last year I smartened up and I had to make a couple of announcements over the PA, but I'll track you down.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I'll hunt you down like a man.
Now Virtual Railfan is going to be there again with their streaming cameras in all of the buildings.
Yes,
so
yes. But we take a still picture, like we have.
Yeah. No, you should. That's better. That's much better.
Speaking of, while we're talking about youth, let me. Have you ever heard of this expression, John? Model railroading. It's younger than you think.
Yeah, you started that, I think. I'm being serious.
I am. I did start that.
You said that. I think you said that
last year.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And so, but before we get off topic, and now that I've sucked up to you, by the way, before I carry on, everything I've said, you know what, one of the things about this hobby that I love is, I think it had to be like 5 years ago. I probably walked up to you with a microphone and said, could I speak with you for a minute? And we'd never met. And I mean, as these 5 years have gone along with all the changes in life and our experiences with our friend Jim Sacco and everything, like we've created a friendship where, I feel like, hey, it's great to have you as a friend as well as talking to you as the show director. Like I think
and honestly, when you say just 5 years, it feels like double that. It really does.
Yeah.
But I tell that to people I've met, and when I have that connection, I said, listen, I'm going to treat you like I've known you for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that's how I feel. So right back at you.
So now, what about the parking space? Can I get a parking space? And
you could get 5 now.
I only need one. I only need one in the gated part there, and that's.
Didn't I give you one last year?
You give me one every year for the last 4.
Well, you're at your quota, man.
Would it help if I went, please?
Nah, you'll get one anyway.
All right. I love it. I love you, John. So let me ask you this question. I got a couple more questions, and we got to talk to Buzz, the guy, the Honey I Shrunk the Model Railroader guy. But okay, let me ask you a serious question. The years are going by. You're eventually somebody else is going to take over. Like, are you trying to groom somebody? Like, you have a plan in place, or?
Yeah, succession planning is something every organization should be doing, and I am thinking. Because I want to someday finish my model railroad in the basement, which has been dormant for how many years I've been doing this? 20. It's been dormant for 20 years.
Yeah. But it looks beautiful. But it looks beautiful there behind you. What we can see.
Well, that's just stuff I'm working on. But anyway, I've been telling the board of directors of the Amherst Railway Society that the 2024 show will be my last show. And they have said no.
We do not accept that answer.
Yes.
Which your answer would be, watch me.
But very seriously, excuse me, it's taken forever to find someone that I think could do it. And for a while I was thinking, it needs more than one guy, but we actually have that with the office staff and then myself overseeing. And I bumped into a guy I knew and used to op with on Monday nights. Then we switched to Friday nights from the late 70s. And, he's done the same thing. He's almost getting ready to retire. He's like 10 years younger than me. So he's in his early 60s and he really wants to help. And I said, oh, this guy is smart. And I said, how would you like to help me with the train show? And he said, absolutely. So he is a pretty good candidate for the next show director. So, but honestly, as long as I'm having fun, if it takes an extra year or so to groom someone or to help, I think I'd be lost if I just retired.
Well, I think that's the thing, though. Isn't that isn't that kind of what the hobby does for people? Is that I truly believe that model railroaders who are active model railroaders really live a pretty long and productive life.
Well, that. I hope that's true. Actually,
I think so. I mean, you're always talking. I hear stories too about, somebody. My dad. He's 85 now. Do you know what we can do with his stuff? My dad. It's rarely. I mean, people do pass at an early age, and that unfortunately does happen. But I find that I feel like model railroading in the community helps to extend and give people a very fruitful and active life.
Well,
Gordy Robinson has said that is one of the reasons why the NMRA dropped their life membership, because based on actuarial tables, NMRA members are living too long.
Well, Lionel, there is scientific evidence to prove that having a hobby makes you live longer.
Right.
Yeah, they've done studies.
Yeah.
They say that people they have a 15% lower risk of death if you have a hobby compared to those who do not.
Yeah, I think that's true. Without even having to worry about the study, I think if you're happy, you're going to live longer, no question.
Well, I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, and I certainly don't want anybody in the AML Nation to take this the wrong way. But Kelly, do you really think you need a hobby?
Blame it on me.
Maybe Kelly. Maybe if you had nothing to do.
Oh, that'd be boring. That would be boring.
Let me ask you before we get to the 3D guy. You said survey the building. What do you mean you have to survey the building?
Well, originally the building was not accurate, so we spun lasers in all of the buildings. So a while ago, and what that did was, measure the buildings to within an inch or so of where all the poles, walls, everything was. So we start with that. If you play with CAD, it comes in levels, right? So we just have a plan that we start with the buildings. And then there's a layer for where the tables go, and a layer for where the dimensions go, and a layer for where the people go who are in the show. So it's layer upon layer, and you finally get a full drawing. So what I mean by surveying the building each year is they're never the same. The table placement is never the same. So we go in a couple days early and chalk all the floors based on the new dimensions of where tables will be, because layouts change, especially Mallory. But Mallory's going to be easy this year because it's all layouts basically, and they take up huge amounts of space. Whereas in the Better Living Center, where there's maybe 700 tables, 8-foot tables, the placement of those has to be pretty accurate. But because of those building shots that we originally took, we get really exact about it. As a matter of fact, the people at Eastern States have asked us for our plans because they're better than theirs, and we did that years ago. We gave them a set of our plans so that they could better use them for other events that they have at the building.
So, John, you're saying that it changes, or do they change the building, the inside of the building?
Both, actually. Mostly, though, it's just us changing the table arrangements. But every once in a while, they'll build new bathrooms, and they'll steal a 10 by 20 foot section of the building. And where there's now they improve the bathrooms, they made them bigger. All of a sudden, a Dunkin' Donuts appeared, and we had mixed feelings about that. Yes, a Dunkin' Donuts is right in the building, but it took away 10 tables. And but so you have to build that. So whenever they do any changes to the building, we go up and measure and add that to the CAD program plan. But really, what I'm talking about is placement of our stuff,
right,
which includes tables, layouts, and all that kind of stuff. And because we let layouts set up early from noon Thursday on, we get into the building. We're at the building right after we have breakfast, so we're there about 10 o'clock on Wednesday. So it takes us all day Wednesday to survey, all day Tuesday to set up tables, and by the time everybody gets there on Friday morning, we're good to go. We're ready. Wow. We can't leave Thursday night unless everything is set up, right? Because people start coming in at 7 a.m. on Friday. And what's funny about Friday, it's become a sales day. When you think about it, there's vendors alone. There's 3,500 people at the show on Friday. By the time they all set up at let's say noon or something like that. So.
Is that your phone ringing?
Yeah, but it's.
If it's Hollywood calling for me, just take a message.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we're getting all the news right before.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I am.
Somebody looking for their wall space.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it was it was an exhibitor who needs to talk to me. So
don't all exhibitors
really?
need
it
to talk?
goes on. My office is in the house, and one of the things I like being able to do is you've got a problem, you call me. If I'm not doing something, I'll pick up the phone. Obviously, I'm not going to pick up the phone when I'm doing this, but
yeah. But I mean, that's one of the things I've come to realize over the last few years is that you're extremely accessible.
Yeah, well, every once in a while I can't get back to you for a day or two, but that's just because I'm either out. Like in the middle of all of this, I'm dismantling one of the greatest layouts I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
Yeah, Dick Elwell.
Oh, okay. You're taking that
Hoosick
one.
Valley. Yeah, and I've known him forever.
Right.
And that layout is unfreaking believable.
It is.
It is just when I first walked down there right after he died, I just felt miserable. I honestly, I wish I was a millionaire. I would have bought the house and kept the layout running. But it's half down. We're trying to raise money for the family. So in the middle of all of this, I go there once a week and help take that apart. And we're taking all the buildings, all the cars, locomotives, anything that's salvageable, saleable, and bringing it to the train show. So there's going to be 7 or so tables of all Dick Elwell collection stuff.
Wow.
Some of it is just gorgeous.
And whereabouts in the is it going to be? Which building is that going to be?
It's in the Better Living Center, and it's going to be in Section 9. Okay. It's pretty much the entire section. And you figure a Craftsman kit on of every one of his buildings, and those that weren't were so well disguised and detailed that you swear that were Craftsman kit, of which there's over 350 of them.
I know, unbelievable modeler.
Oh my God, I've never seen anything like it, and he has enough trees on his layout to scenic 10 layouts.
But now
he's got 40,000 plus trees.
He's another case. Like he was fairly well on in years too, wasn't he, when he passed?
Yeah, he just when he died, he lost a 15-year battle with cancer.
Right.
It just caught up with him, but he hung in there for a long time.
Yeah.
And when we walked down there in October, and he had just had what turned out to be the last op session on September 20th, so less than a month before. Everything was right where it was when they stopped the op session.
Wow.
So there were cars on the layout and everything like that. And I had been there a million times, and it was just amazing. It's the most beautiful layout I've ever been to, other than maybe George Celios.
Right. He's going to be open this year from 9 till 12 in the
Friday, Yep. He does that a lot for the weekend of our show.
Yeah.
You know what I love about our show, in addition to everything else, is all the traditions that surround this show. There's guys, they rent the car at the steaming tender, and they all go to certain restaurants every year, and it's just an amazing thing to see how all these traditions and friendships have established.
Well, it's like our group photo. We've been doing that for 5 years. I
think it's great. Last
year at our dinner, we had 30 plus people. I mean, we have all kinds of people that listen to the podcast that come and gather.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, though, you know what? I feel, you know what? This is going to sound really corny. I apologize ahead of time. But you're one of those people. Our relationship is one of those things that makes me feel like I'm glad to be a model railroader, because I've only got to know you, like I say, through Jim Sacco, and that was 5 or 6 years ago. But in that 5 or 6 years, I feel like I've gotten to know one of the people in the hobby that has made it what it is today. Like I was lucky enough to have a one time when I was 12 years old to meet Lynn Westcott, and I knew Andy, and I knew Andy Sparandio well, and I got to meet Russ Larson, and I was I got to operate on Alan McClellan's a few times, and I've met people through the time that have had an impact on the hobby, and I feel like it's a privilege to know you.
Oh my God! Thank you.
And I just want to say that publicly, because I really do. I feel like you've done so much for the hobby. I feel like it's a real privilege to be able to know you and talk to you and call you up and irritate you.
I was trying to think of something smart, but boy, you did. Almost in a wise ass kind of category.
Well, yeah. I have been accused occasionally of making smart ass remarks, but I do mean that. I mean that with all my heart. I really feel like I'm going to be. It's just it's really a privilege. Well, you know what? Let's get to it. I have one more question, but we'll come back to that. Let's get to it. I was Bruce and I were sitting with our friend. What's the guy's name? Bernard.
Bernard Minnie?
Yeah, Bernard Helen. We were sitting with him in the world headquarters of Mini Prints, and we were talking. He was lamenting about he was wanting to get into the show and all that. And I said, well, let's just call John now. No, we better not bother him. I said, no, it's okay. We can call him now. No, we better not bother him. I said, Bernard, we can call him. I know the guy. We can call him. It's okay. So we called him, and the two hooked you two guys together, and now it's going to be great. I mean, it was so that's what I mean by my exam. I feel very privileged to know you this well.
Well, thanks. But I'll tell you, when people say, I have the same guy from the Springfield Republican newspaper every year. He goes, John, what are the top 5 things this year? And this year, Bernard's one of my top 5.
Oh, wow.
I can't wait to see this happen. This is so
It's
cool.
going to be fun. It really is.
Actually, if you go to railroadhobbyshow.com, we have a new website, and in it there's what's called flip cards this year.
Yes, so, I see that. Yeah,
yeah.
Really
and
cool.
one of them, and we could change them. Yeah, and one of and it really is about the things that are cool about the show or stuff that you might need about the show. And one of the very first ones is Honey, I Shrunk the Model Railroader, which makes me laugh. Bernard sent me a clip from the movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with Rick Moranis in the magnifying glass. God, I was laughing out loud. It was so funny. I said, "Oh, this is gonna be so cool."
Well, let me ask you this: how many times has Bernard bothered you?
Oh, too many. I'm so done with him. No, are you kidding me?
No,
you know what's funny is there's a couple of guys. Bernard is one of them, and there's a couple other guys been trying to get into the show since right before, from 2020.
Yeah,
I called them up. Come on, you got to come down here next year. Then COVID, and then last year the borders were insane. And I said, so I've known some of these guys, Bernard included, for about 3 or 4 years, and this is like the first year he's going to be in the show.
This is my 3rd year at the show, but the first time attending.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Yeah, because you were in the virtual show.
Yep.
Last year you couldn't cross the border.
Yep.
And now you finally made it. I think it's just I just can't wait. I can't wait. I'm very excited. And you have one of the best spots in the Better Living Center, right by all the ATM machines.
Oh, macro!
There you go.
Section 19.
Yes, sir.
Right across from what, the NMRA?
Yeah, you're right across from the NMRA,
Nice.
And on the other side of the entrance is Exact Rail and Katie.
Fantastic.
So, where are the? I've seen the map, but I don't. What section? What section is the AML booth in? What section was Jim Sacco's booth in?
He was in section 4.
Oh, okay, we're in section 4, Bruce.
It starts in the northwest corner of the Better Living Center, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when we split up a couple sections, now it's 1, then 2A, 2B, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then you swing all the way back. And there is no section 6 because that's where the Dunkin' Donuts is now, and I didn't want to renumber the world.
Well, yeah.
So we just got rid of it. And then there's 7, 8, 9, and all the way up to 69 sections in the Better Living Center. And then we took Young after that. So it goes from 70 to 100, and then 101 to 120 in the Stro, and then 121 to, I don't know, 100. This year it might be up to 170 in the in the Mallory building.
Bernard, sorry, John.
No, you're fine.
How many times have I cut you off?
Me, I just keep talking, so I don't even know.
He hasn't got that yet. That's gone past him twice now.
No, actually, you are very good at stopping when I keep talking. And one of the worst things I do is just talk over everybody.
I know.
And so if I do, I apologize.
But anytime I have Bernard on and I start talking, I keep saying mini instead of many, and it's an old joke that the first time I interviewed Bernard, I'd say, "So how many prints have you made?" What was I going to ask you? Can you really have a show without Dunkin' Donuts there?
No,
No.
honestly, yeah.
No, you
I
get
know.
a Dunkin' Donuts.
Seriously, the Hobby Manufacturers Association is also a meeting that's at that show every year because they're all there. And I used to have to go to the nearest Dunkin' Donuts, which is about a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile down the street, to get donuts and coffee for them for their meeting in the morning. And now it's right there. So it's a wonderful thing.
Why I have a story about the Dunkin' Donuts. Bruce, I think you were there. I think it was the last time you were there at the show. But
Yes.
it was Sunday afternoon, and I had been interviewing and talking to people, and I suddenly decided that I was going to go to the washroom that's down by the Dunkin' Donuts. And as I'm about halfway between Jim Sacco's booth and the Dunkin' Donuts, I can see that they still have one honey dip donut left. And I'm like, I am making a beeline for this honey dip donut. I get about halfway there, and this gentleman stops me and wanted to tell me about how great he thought the podcast was. And of course, I couldn't blow the guy off. I stopped and I asked him, okay, what do you model? And, where are you from? And blah, blah, blah. And we had a very nice 10 or 15-minute conversation. And as I was finished up with him, I turned, and there was a guy buying the last honey dip donut.
It was a sad day.
It was a sad. And I went back to Bruce and I relayed the whole story to Bruce, and he's like, he was almost going to go out and buy me a dozen just to get me. So I'm very thankful for the Dunkin' Donuts and the. Go ahead, Bruce.
So, John, have you maxed out on buildings at the Big E?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Honestly, I had a long conversation with them not too long ago in the summer. They wanted me to come up and see the robotics conference, the 15 to 18-year-olds that were competing against one another with robots. Their classes, some of them are from schools, some of them are clubs and all that kind of stuff. And they actually took the Coliseum. Well, the Coliseum is a dirt floor,
right.
And most of it. And they used to have I don't know what league it was in, but they used to have hockey games there, and they still keep dirt in there for the horse. It holds like 7,000 people in the stands, but the floor is big, and they developed a wood covering over it now, and that could be another 30 or 40,000 square feet, but.
Yeah.
But up in the stands is where people could sit and. So
yeah,
I don't know if we could use it or not.
That's what we used at the Rogue Valley train shows. We use the arena, which is dirt, and we have to make sure that they level it when they put the covering over it.
Yeah.
And they roll back the stadium, the bleacher seats. So we have that's.
Oh, all right. Yeah. These are permanent seats.
Yeah.
So they couldn't roll it back, but it's huge. And they do level it, and I think about half of it is cement, concrete floor, but there's still dirt. But they level it. Then they throw a layer of plastic down, and then they throw some heavy duty plywood on it afterwards. It's it's like inch thick plywood, so it's not what you're usually used to seeing, and it's on some sort of flooring system.
Yeah, it's a system that they've developed. Now, Bruce is from Medford, Oregon, and they have a train show out there every year. He also claims there's some sort of international airport in Medford, but we have yet to confirm or deny that.
Because it has one custom agent.
Yeah. So anyways, let's get back to this. So you go to the main page of the Railroad Hobby Show, and you scroll down a little bit, and there's these flip cards, and one of the flip cards is Mini Prints, and you click on that, and it says Mini Prints is bringing their full-body scanning system to the 2023 Railroad Hobby Show. So if you need a scale image of yourself or for your layout, and who doesn't, you will be able to add a feature to your model railroad that few others will have. The scanning process takes about 20 minutes, and the cost of the Mini Me scan is $89.99 US, 5 figures, and then HOS and O scales are included. Holy mackerel! So for that $89, you get 5 figures in the scale of your choice, and the 5 can be in a mix, and they can be in a mix of scales. Holy mackerel! That's a deal and a half. And if you click on the miniprints.com, there's a link, miniprints.com/Springfield, which I'm clicking on now. And then it says Mini Prints is blah, blah, blah. And this will be in the Better Living. It's section 19 of the Better Living Center, blah, blah, blah. Saturday, 9 till 5, Sunday, 10. There are now only 18 spots left. So please book now to avoid this. Holy mackerel.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Only 3 spots left on Saturday. So
Saturday is almost booked out.
So we have in our presence Buzz, a.k.a. Bernard Helen, who is the owner, chief cook and bottle washer of Mini Prints. Now, Bernard, how many prints have you made today?
Today, I have not made any mini prints, but I was in the space building Fremo modules.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm bringing 2 Fremo modules down to the show to set up in my space because I have a lot of space to fill. John was very, very generous because I need space for the scanner. And I was thinking, what am I going to do with the space? Because it is 16 by 21, John? Or
that is accurate. Yep.
16 by 21.
Yeah.
And the scanner does take up a bit of space, but I wanted, I wanted something more in the space than the scanning. So I thought, what better project over the holidays than to whip together a few Fremo modules. So that's what today's excitement was.
Yeah. Now here's a question for you, Bernard. You got 3 spots left on a Saturday. If that gets filled, say hypothetically, the guy who's sort of in charge of the show wandered over and had a spare 20 minutes. Do you think you could scan him, fit him into that schedule?
Well, it's interesting because there is a deluxe hidden VIP booking form that is password protected for the Friday. And Friday, John has, I will out you here, John. John has a number of scans that he can book with VIPs, media, show personalities, himself on the Friday. So Saturday and Sunday will be for everybody who comes to the show, but I will be scanning on the Friday as well. And I know one person I want to scan for sure. We spoke about him earlier. I believe he has an accent and is from a very high placed Scottish island.
So Gordy, the NMRA president?
I would love to scan Gordy.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping we can get him on the Friday. And John, you're getting scanned for sure.
Yeah, Gordy is one of my on my list too. So we'll get him to do it.
Yeah. And we've got a bunch of scans. I think we're going to do 10 scans on Friday and then 38 scans on the Saturday and Sunday. And they're all pretty tightly scheduled. So I don't think I'm going to get to see too much of the show, unfortunately.
Are you got anybody helping you at all?
There are a few people that are going to be down at the show that I'm going to, that are going to pop by, and there will be friends popping in to sort of spell me if I need a bathroom break or some of those Dunkin' Donuts. Hopefully, someone will bring me a donut and a coffee to fuel me but it's going to be go time. We're really packing in the scans, but it's a lot of fun.
Aren't you gonna be exhausted by the time you're done?
I'm going to be a shell of a buzz.
All right.
Yeah. It's going to be. I mean, we did that at Timonium. I mean, Timonium was the practice for Amherst, and it is tiring, but it's also a lot of fun.
All right. Well, John, I'm going to give you a little insight into Bernard's generosity. So, just the other day, you found out that I have a charity, a fund that I started several years ago called One More Year, where I donate money to the hospital that helped me with my cancer woes. And a couple of years ago, Bernard scanned me, and then last year he scanned Bruce, the moderately agitated mail boy. And over the last 2 years, Bernard has donated $5,000 to the One More Year fund.
Nice.
And through his own generosity, makes all these. So I mean, it's a great thing that you're doing, giving him this spot, because it's going to give a lot of people people are going to have a lot of fun.
It is a spectator sport. It's really fun.
It is.
People tend to like enjoy watching it happen. So I think we'll get quite a crowd, and I'll bring a monitor down so that we can, watch it happen. And it's online, real time, and it's a lot of fun to watch. People enjoy it.
You'll have dozens of people watching.
Yeah, yeah,
dozens.
And
have you ever been to the show, Bernard?
This is my very first time.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
Oh, jeez.
I know. And I literally don't know when or if I'm going to get out of the booth, but
I'll
that's
let you in
okay.
on, Bernard. I'll let you in on a secret. You're not going to.
No,
right.
exactly,
No.
exactly. But I'm looking forward to it, and I've already spoken to 20 people who are excitedly awaiting their scans, and so. I think
so. How
it'll
many?
be great.
How many did you book for Saturday?
Saturday. Well, there are 20. I think of the 20 scans that are booked, I would say probably 17 or 18 of them are on this Saturday.
Okay. So the easiest way for people to book it is to go to your website, miniprints.com.
/Springfield, and there is actually a booking form on there. I use the same software that spas and massage therapists and chiropractors use. You can book a specific time slot, and so I've got a whole booking form on there.
Okay.
And people can book the slot that they want that's still available. And you can book the slot, and you can, if plans change, if you can't make it or something happens, you can cancel up to 48 hours in advance.
Hey, you haven't even allowed for any time to leave the booth.
Yeah, really.
I did book a break for myself in the morning and a break for myself for lunch. So I have given myself, brief bathroom breaks. But apart from that,
all right, I see between 12 noon and 12:40 p.m. on the Sundays available.
That's right. That is right. Now, I do have someone booked at 2:00 on the Saturday, so I'm going to have to go back now, and I'm going to reschedule them at one of the times that is available because I don't want to miss the photograph.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to miss the photograph. No,
unless you want to come and have it in the booth.
No, we have it in front of the AML this year.
Oh, yeah, you have to have it in front of the banner.
Yeah, and this year I got a City Classics banner, too, that I'm going to put up because we want to recognize.
Definitely.
All right, so then if you're listening 2:00 on Saturday, I will reach out and reschedule you.
Okay. I won't be listening to this at 2:00 on Saturday. Were you talking to me?
No, I'm talking to the 2:00 on Saturday.
This is all very confusing, Bernard. Are you sure you're up for this?
Well, I've been training. Every day I do my scans, getting into shape for Springfield.
Can I apologize to you now?
Please.
All right, I'm sorry.
Okay, and do it often.
Well, I mean, come on. This is like throwing me a belt high fastball, 80-mile-an-hour fastball.
I'm happy to oblige.
I mean, how am I gonna, Bruce? You're gonna have to not allow me to leave the AML booth, or else I'm gonna be over there just harassing poor old Bernard.
Well, we'll put a detail on you if you start heading that way. Unless you're heading that way with coffee and donuts.
That's
you
true.
have to stay away.
All right. Yeah, we should. We should.
And so, with that criteria, I can see Bernard getting about 15 dozen donuts over the weekend. You'll be going over there.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe I don't need help as much as I might need security.
There you go.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wait for somebody being scanned, and I'm going to try interviewing them while they're being scanned.
Well, you should. Are you be there on the Friday?
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, then Friday is the day that you can.
What day are you starting on? What time are you starting on the Friday?
I'm giving myself Friday morning to set up, so I'll start around noon on Friday.
And you're going to be doing them all afternoon.
Noon till 4.
Are you going to have dinner? Are you going to have dinner with us on Thursday or Friday evening?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're staying at the official AML hotel, aren't you?
I am staying at the official AML hotel.
John, I'm sorry that I never even filled you in on that, but the Hampton Inn in Enfield, Connecticut,
yes,
has become the official AML headquarters of the show.
Oh, cool! I need to talk to them about that.
Well, I think they're pretty much well aware. I've reserved the conference room for a pizza party on Saturday night, which of course you're invited to.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, we used to have our dinner with at Cal's wood-fired grill.
Yeah,
and the food
many times.
And the food is great. And last year we had it upstairs. We used to have the room downstairs that held like 20, 25 people, and then we moved upstairs. And they never said. I said, "Can I have the room?" Sure, okay. So we get there, and after the dinner, they give me a bill for the entire group of 30 plus people, and I'm like, "What is this?" Well,
Yeah.
well, you got to pay for it, and I'm like, but I wanted individual. I never, there was a bit of a back and forth to solve that problem. So then this year I said, well, can we have separate bills? And they were like, no, you can't have separate. Yeah.
That's unusual.
So then I said, can I have the room downstairs that holds like 25 people and have separate bills? No. And
Wow.
I'm like, well, how many people can I have minimum? Can I have separate bills for? And they said 15. I said, all right, well, then I'll book a table for 15. They said, well, we only book tables for 12. And at that point, I went, hey, I'll get back to you.
Yeah, really. Crazy.
So how many volunteers do you have?
Oh, gosh. Depending on the day, if you total them all up, probably 100.
Okay.
I have 25 floor managers that are there for the 4 days. There's floor managers don't need to be there on Friday when we're just surveying, but I have guys hanging signs and putting stuff out in the park a lot and such. But I'd say if I had to total up the different people, it's 100. They're not. Maybe on Friday they're all there at once. But the floor managers, of which are about 2 dozen, are obviously they're heavy. Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. I usually have 3 with at least a couple standby every. They go in. What
does a floor manager do?
Make sure everybody's doing okay. What's funny is they don't do once the show starts. So once we open on Saturday, the show just runs itself because everybody's in their spot. Everything is good. And there's really very little to do other than if there's a problem or someone slips and every year someone gets hurt, which is unfortunate, but that's why we have to have 2 ambulances on premises, not just one, because the population is so large.
Really? You have to have 2.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And we have 5 fire marshals, of which we only need 1 to walk around. But this is the most densely populated show on the grounds, even more so than the Big E.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you have to have 5 fire marshals on premise.
Yeah, both days, and they inspect early before the show opens on Saturday, but they come over on Friday because it's such a large show. I have to send them a copy of the blueprints and the plans. Years ago, we went from 10-foot aisles to 12-foot aisles.
Right.
They just loved it. They loved us for it as well, and because people would encroach. When they were 10 foot, they'd move their tables, and all of a sudden it's 9'6". It was it's crazy. So from a floor manager standpoint, they just make sure everything's okay. But the most difficult day is Friday when people come in. I'll always every year. It's actually pretty funny. If you low key the whole thing, but people will come in and say, I don't like my spot. I said, well, it was assigned since December 1st. And it's been posted since December 1st. I always post the first weekend in December. But I get very little of that now because people like where they are. I'm trying to play that puzzle game. I'm always trying to accommodate everybody. And the only time I get into a dilemma is I don't want to move, but I want more tables. And when you get 2 guys that each have 5 tables and they don't in the same section and they don't want to move, but they want more tables. It's hard.
Yep.
I said, well, the other guy next to you, who you've known for 20 years, by the way, wants more tables too. So what would you like me to do? I don't know. That's why you're the show director. And I go, okay.
Oh man.
Yeah. Wow. There's very little of that now though. When I was first, I don't get angry so much anymore. I try not to. I never yell because yelling is not allowed. But people, like Lionel was alluding to, people have gotten to know me. They know I'm going to try to do what I can. And we triple check the software and make sure there's no double books. I've double on occasion. I've double booked a couple of people, but not in the last few years anyway. It's like it's like hotels. You always have an extra room in case of an emergency. I always keep a couple of tables open in case of an emergency. But we also have a standby program. We actually have people in the parking lot waiting to see if someone didn't show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So I follow the airlines standby. Not so much now with TSA and stuff, but a half hour before the show, the tables, if you don't show up, so if you're not there by 8:30 on Saturday morning, the tables are released, and the people that are waiting with their trucks and stuff will take the chance and actually they'll be waiting outside, and they're on standby, and I'll say, "Yep, it's 8:30. You got those 3 tables or whatever." So it's a wild and crazy thing. Some of the things that happen at the show are very interesting.
Now, this year being more or less, so we say in quotation marks and the fingers crossed and everything, a normal year, do you get a sense you're going to be firing more people through this year than before?
Yeah. I can tell. I have indicators, and the big indicator at this point in time are the hotels.
Right.
The Sheraton downtown, Sheraton Monarch, which is where I usually stay, called me just before Thanksgiving, and you get to know these guys, and that's another thing I like, because these guys are now my friends. Not socially, but I know them well enough.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so the assistant director of sales called. He said, "John," I said, "What?" He said, "We're full." I said, "What?" He says, "I've never seen this like this before Thanksgiving. Your block is full. What do you want me to do?" And I know people like Bachman and a few other guys, they always wait. I said, "You got to give me more rooms." So they did, and that's how accommodating everybody is. It's wonderful. Plus, it's the middle of this, of the winter,
Right.
January, but we have already way over 400 room nights at the Sheraton.
Wow.
And the hotel that is another lead hotel is in West Springfield. It's the Hampton Inn. It's booked. It's solid. Nothing. You couldn't get a room there if you wanted to.
So, John, I've got 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
Top 3 survival tips for a brand new first-year exhibitor.
Yeah, you're on your own.
I can help you there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And top 3 survival tips for anyone coming to the show.
That's a good one. I tell people get there early, and if you're coming both days, the first day buy the ticket for the next day if you haven't already. You could come to the office and buy a bracelet. They're like those hospital bands, so you could go from building to building. Buy one for the next day, then you don't have to stand in line the next day. Because if it's cold, oh my.
Yeah.
But when it's really cold, we've actually, on occasion, opened early. I'm not going to make people stand out there and freeze.
Mm-hmm.
So the first is make sure you already have your rooms. Because right now there's very few rooms left, and that's really unusual for this time of the year. So I'm loving that. So as an exhibitor, I'll say get there as early as you can Friday morning. Usually only layouts can set up on Thursday, but with permission, you could come in and set up on Thursday, which is fine with me. I just need to know if you're, when you're coming, so we can make arrangements properly and everything. But I love people coming in from noon on Thursday. So, we need to have time to get this table set up, which is why I need to know in advance. But when you're there first thing Friday morning, it's a sale day for you with 3,500 people.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
I mean, the volunteers and the other people in the show are looking for bargains on Friday. Ask Jim Elster from Scenic Express his first year at the show. I said, Jim, my wife knew him they went to the same high school and way out in Jim Sacco land, outside of Pittsburgh.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so he says, what do you mean? I said, double your inventory. He didn't listen to me. He sold half his inventory on Friday. And on Sunday, he had 3 or 4 packets of O-scale figures left. And I said, you signed a contract for 2 days. You're not moving. and I said, Jim, take orders. Which he did. And so now he doubles his inventory when he comes.
Wow.
Is it even possible to see the whole show?
No.
In 2 days?
Not in one
Not
day.
properly.
Certainly not in one day. I had friends who I used to work with. She's a very prominent speaker in the industry of employment agency training and such. And her husband's a model railroader. I said, you got to come to the show. I said, just get here. I'll have tickets waiting for you, the whole bit. So she started at booth 1. They said, we don't know what to do. I said, so start at the beginning, start at 1. So by the end of the first day, he had purchased about $3,000 or $4,000 worth of stuff, and they were at section 30. They said, we're never going to get through the whole show. I said, well, just take a walk through and see before you stop at every booth and talk to every single person. You'll never get through it. You won't do it. There's over 400 exhibitors.
Wow.
And on that line, Bernard,
yes.
Comfortable shoes. Get the most comfortable shoes you can think of.
Yeah.
Concrete floors will kill you, and walking on concrete will kill you.
If you have those squares, those rubber squares that look like puzzle parts that you could lay down in some area where you're going to be standing a lot of the time, do it. Otherwise, I mean, my thighs are on fire on noon at Friday, even before the show opens.
Right.
Just because you're on cement for 2.5 days already.
Yep.
Right.
So comfortable shoes, padding in your booth area if you can, if it doesn't disrupt stuff.
Okay.
Flame retardant stuff for your
you need flame
table
retardant.
covers.
You need like one of those NASCAR driver suits. You can't go without flame retardant clothing.
And we have spray, so if you don't have flame retardant stuff, you could spray. You could actually spray it on your tablecloth. But the fire marshals are deadly about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They don't mind if you cover your stuff at night with plastic because no one's in the show at that time. But during the show, when the people are there, nothing flammable. And you know how they check? They take a lighter and light it, or try to. Yeah.
So they won't mind. They won't mind a guy with people standing on a revolving table, shooting lasers at them.
No, the fire marshals at our place are great. The other people that are great are the tax people. The Department of Revenue people for Massachusetts. They're nothing like anywhere else. If you don't have a tax number, when they come and ask you for one, if you're selling stuff directly at the show, they'll say, "Oh, well, let us give you one. It's free." So it's not like they shut you down. They don't do that at all. They'd rather have the revenue.
Right. Yeah.
So it's interesting. So when I say this is the largest show in North America, I'm very serious about it. I don't know anybody that has 350,000 square feet.
No, it's absolutely and just the Better Living Center alone is overwhelming.
Yeah, that's about 138,000 square feet.
The building. Sorry to cut you off, John.
No, that's okay.
The building you're going to be in, Bernard, is, to me, as far as I'm concerned, they're all great buildings. They're all great buildings. But the Better Living Center, first time I ever went to the show, Bruce and I went together many, 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 many years ago. And literally we got maybe a third of the way or a halfway into the Better Living Center and literally stood there going, like we were overwhelmed within 10 minutes.
Absolutely. New York and over there, well, we haven't been there yet. Yeah, well,
and it's like
it's an odd shaped building, so it's not a rectangle. It's got two sides cut off at an angle, so it's kind of weird. But yeah, so you could get people come to me and I just saw this guy and he sells this, and I don't know where he is, and I'll try to get a description, and most of the time I'll know who they're talking about, but sometimes you can't find someone that you went by. So, but all you have to do is look up, because we number all the sections with big giant red letters. So if you make a note and you want to go back to someone, just take a snapshot with your camera of the overhead number, and you'll never get lost. So those little tricks, and we actually have bio break service, and a lot of, we don't publicize it because it's bio break service, but we've had accidents at the show when people can't get away because there's so many people. And so what we'll do is, if you call the office, we'll have a floor manager come and mind your stuff while you go to the bathroom to take a break.
Oh, that's cool.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm going to take advantage of that service.
You should. Absolutely. We had a couple accidents many years ago where the guy, frankly, barely could hold it. And it was in the back of the Mallory building, when we only took the front half of the Mallory building's in two sections, Mallory North and Mallory South. We only used to take half of Mallory South. So way in the back, they had dirt there for when they needed to put dirt on the floor for cows and horses and stuff when it was in that building. And the guy did it. He ran as fast as he could back to that dirt pile because he just couldn't make it to a
Jeez.
Oh, that was many
Any
years ago.
port in a storm.
Yeah, you're actually
Listen,
pretty close to a washroom there, Bernard.
Yeah, I'm and food concession too.
Yeah,
No,
you're not.
right
You're
there,
right there.
I think
You're
that's
at the
a Dunkin'
Dunkin' Donuts place.
I know. I'm loving this location.
Yeah, you've got one of the best locations in the show, Bernard.
I love it. This is
Seriously.
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
You got one of the best locations in the show, Bernard. And remember, it all started with me sitting there going, "Well, just call him. Don't worry about it. I know the
There you
guy.
go.
We'll call him. We'll call him." And look at what happened.
And you were the very first scan too, other than my wife and my kids. Which,
That's right.
You know, that's family. You were the first civilian mini print
Wow.
scan ever done.
Yeah. And look what
That's pretty
happened.
Cool.
I know.
And you know what I did? You know what I finally did after COVID and everything? I finally saw my psychiatrist face to face at Princess Margaret Hospital. And the first thing I did to her was give her a G scale.
Was this recently?
This was about 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
And
wow.
what was the reaction?
That.
What do I do?
Why
with
are you
this?
giving me a scale
And she
model
said-
of it?
She says, "What is this? Is this the one that you were that fellow was selling?" And I went, "Yeah." She says, "Were you in a bad mood that day?" And I said, "Yeah, pretty much." She says, "Well, it looks."
She could read all of that in a little 3D
Yeah,
figure.
yeah, and she said, "Well, it
Oh,
looks pretty
she's
much."
good.
Yeah, she said, "It looks pretty much like you when you're pissed."
Well, you know, the fidelity nowadays of 3D scanning to capture all the emotions.
Well, so John, the backstory is Bernard kept insisting that he wanted to do a 3D scan of me, and he would sell these mini Lionels to help support my 1 more year cause. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And my secretary was like, you got to do it. And I said, how many people are going to want to buy a little tiny HO scale Lionel? And she says, well, it'll be fun to do. And, you know, Bernard was very anxious to do it. And I'm like, finally, begrudgingly, I said to myself, all right, I'm going to go do this because Bernard seems like a very nice fella. And anybody I talk to seems to think it's a good idea. I'm going to go do this. So I go, and we're in Bernard's home, and I'm standing there with my hands in my pockets like, I want to be just about anywhere else but here. And this is better than being, I thought to myself, it's better than being at the dentist.
Okay.
That was the alternative.
Yeah. And the next thing I know, he sells like hundreds of these things and raises well over $2,000 the first year selling little Lionels. And then the next year he does Bruce the Moderately Agitated Mail Boy, which was this year. So like I say, so far he's raised over $5,000 for my fund. And in total, we've raised $130,000 for the hospital. So,
Not to mention that you are on hundreds, many hundreds of layouts all over the world.
yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So, John, if you want, I can get you a G-scale Lionel that you could have right on your desk and you could look at it the whole time.
Oh my God. Is it painted?
But you can paint it
You
if you
get
want.
to paint it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it also comes with decals that you can put on.
Yes,
on him.
somebody
Just,
else made decal.
Yeah.
It's a
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I will contribute to that. Absolutely.
let me take a shot in the dark. So I'm in section 4. Are my tables L, M, and N? That's what I think I am. Tables L, M, and N. Have you got it there?
I do. I think you are IJ. No, you're not LMNN. That's somebody else. I believe you're IJKL.
IJKL. Oh, okay.
Hey,
Hold
we're
on one
just-
second. You're right where you always are.
Yeah.
We're
where
not
you
far
are.
from each other.
No. We are.
Oh.
We are. we are
Yeah.
as far away from each other as we could be, Bernard.
Yeah. You're at opposite ends of the building.
But I mean, you know, a straight shot to Dunkin' Donuts. You pass, you know.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
only it's maybe it's not 100 yards, so
No,
you're less
no,
than
Yeah. It's a
more
straight
like
shot to Dunkin'
it's-
Donuts.
Yeah, if you just stay on the outside aisle, you're in good shape.
Okay. So the layout, the one I'm looking at, says CC layout. Oh, classic. That's City Classics layout.
Classic.
Yeah.
Duh.
Oh my
Okay. You're
God,
right.
yeah.
Now,
Ding,
other
ding,
people,
ding, ding, ding.
other people who are playing along at home, where can they find what we're looking at? because they might be interested.
You go right to the Amherst site.
You go to railroadhobbyshow.com.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I could.
I just found. I looked at it, and you go.
Who's who?
Yep. You go attending this show.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where is it?
No. Who's who?
What's that?
I went to Who's Who floor
That's right.
plan.
There it is, and then the floor plan.
There you go. Boom.
And then you scroll down, and it says for a PDF, floor plan, and you click
on it.
Here.
Yeah.
And it's a giant floor plan.
So everyone can play along at home.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
And what they should be aware of is we release an update. I just released an update over this past weekend, the 17th, whenever that was. What was that? That was I don't even know what today is.
Yesterday.
Oh, okay.
What day is it today, Lionel?
Today is January something or other.
January something or other. Okay, so it was a couple weeks ago.
So yesterday, that's right. Yesterday, I just did an update of who's where because I get more people signed. There's only, I don't know how many tables are left. It's about 98% full. So I just updated it yesterday. But the map, we've reconfigured a couple of table sections, and that's still in the works for my CAD guy. So that'll if you pay attention to the updates, you'll be good. But the update of the list is the 17th. The update of the map is the 3rd of December. So we're ready. I'm just waiting on the update of the map to coincide with the list. But you could get the list of attendees, exhibitors, in either a PDF or an Excel spreadsheet in case you want to resort the Excel spreadsheet, like by building or what have you. So you could kind of
plan in advance where you want to be.
Yeah.
Now, is there a show guide, or do people get something when they walk in so they know where everything is?
They sure do. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
It's in conjunction with RMC again?
No. We had an insert last year with Craftsman, and they're not doing it this year because the backlog of paper and the expense to get the paper, and they needed a 90-day lead time, and I don't know who's going to be where 90 days in advance.
Right.
So they actually did not offer it this year. And that may return. So what we're doing now is we'll have them at the show for handouts, but we'll also have them online to be printed anytime you wish.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
When do those go up?
That will be up probably the about 2 or 3 weeks before the show. So they'll go up in January.
Perfect.
But we'll have several thousand of them at the doors as well.
Today is January the 9th, by the way.
Oh, good.
Yeah, whatever time you're listening to it, it's January the 9th. Kelly's already.
Yes.
It's always January 9th.
Kelly's already listened to it already.
Well, Happy New Year.
Yeah,
There you go.
Exactly. Yeah, look at that, Kelly. You got a Happy New Year from Bernard. You'll be listening to it, and you'll. What were the other 3 things you wanted to know from John? We're running out of network time, but what you were 3 things for beginners, 3 things for first time. You're just what.
Top 3 tips. Top 3 tips for brand new exhibitors. Top 3 tips for attendees.
Bring lots of money.
Bring lots of money.
Good shoes, and that applies to both.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great shoes.
Yeah.
Lots of cash. But most places take credit cards. Mm-hmm. And if you're staying over, book early.
Yeah.
We every year, there's 8 ATMs on premises now. And if you have to learn about these things, right? So ATMs come in either at these fairgrounds, anyways. They come in single drawer or double drawer. Each drawer holds $60,000 in cash. Mm. So 2 of them, right by you, Bernard, have double drawers. So if you think about it, there's 10 drawers.
This is sounding like Ocean's 11 right now.
Yeah, exactly. Each with $60,000. So there's $600,000 in cash in the ATM machines when they fill them on Thursday. They're empty by Saturday. They have to fill them again for the last day of the show.
That just blows my mind.
I shouldn't say this on the air, but I will.
Deliveries are made at 9, 3, 5, and 7.
I could tell you a funny story about cash counting at the show. It's hysterical, but I found out how much we pay in how much was collected in tax. I did not care who it was, but they collect probably about $500,000 in cash.
Wow.
Or in tax. So yeah. So if you extrapolate, if that's 6.25%, remember the equivalency tables. It's about if 6.25, if $500,000 is 6.25, then what's 100%? It's about $10 million spent at the show.
And that does not include all the other economic benefits to West Springfield, the restaurants, the economy. You must be like the biggest income generating event of the year for Springfield.
So here's a great story for you. So I advertise on local TV, and one year there was a fire, and people got displaced, and I had spent a lot of money with this one particular television channel, and I had made it back to the hotel. Because it was Saturday night. We have a banquet, and then we're out early on Saturday night. So I was back at the hotel at 11, just on time for the news. And I was watching this fire, and the reporter goes, well, we're trying to find people. The Red Cross is trying to find people housing, but they can't because of this. There's a big railroad hobby show going on.
Wow.
I heard that, and I said, I didn't just hear that. I called the next morning to the sales guy. I said, I'm not pleased. And I said, and he says, what? I said, listen to the tape about the fire last night. Then you call me back. And he listened to the tape, and the director of sales called me back. He goes, I don't know what to tell you. I said, well, you guys should do your homework. I spent a lot of money with you. And it sounded like I was displacing people, homeless people. And so anyways, I got 50% of my advertising the following year and an appearance on the morning TV show. It was so funny. I honestly, at the time, I was angry, but now I look back and I laugh. It was just ridiculously funny. It's there's that kind of stuff. So I'll give you one more quick story about the money collection. There's a lot of money at the show. Obviously, it used to be a lot more when it was just cash, but the Big E folks help us with credit card usage at the gate and everything now. So I get this, the money collecting is serious business, and we have armed guards and a armored truck and everything. So one night I've got this assistant. He just loves to be involved, and so they have their own channel. So that, and we never know what channel it is. We don't want to know that because the ticket takers, of which there are many, say, "Look, come to my booth, and I need a collection pickup because it's a lot of money in cash." So, but anyways, one night, the Saturday night, at a certain time, the armored car comes, and so one of my over anxious guys, assistants, says, right on the open channel, and all the floor managers, there's 20 of us have, radios, and we're listening to each other on the radios. And I just want to let you guys know that the armored truck is pulling up right now.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man.
Oh, that wasn't the best one. I had a guy. He's since passed away, but he set up all these new rules. So. But anyways, that wasn't the best one. The best one was when we were all on one channel, even the ticket takers. And one of the ticket takers, it was a banner year. It was a crazy year. It was like 2017, 2018. We had 27,000 people at the show. Whoa. There were 14,000 people there on Saturday. And she goes, could someone come to my booth? I've got over $12,000 in cash here, and I need to have it picked up.
I bet she had a lot of volunteers to help her out.
Yeah, really. It was, wow. So needless to say, is after that year, we went to private channels, and it's the counting room moves, and it's there's cameras all over the place, and we have to hire a guard. Mm-hmm. Before, when I first started, the show was $8 to get into the show, cash only. So everybody would pay with $10 bills. Mm-hmm. And so that meant 40,000 singles that we used to have on hand. You know how much 40,000 singles is? That when it's not stacked as new, it is a suitcase, literally a suitcase full. And before we had armed guards, I said, where's the money? He goes, it's in the back seat of my car. on the floor. No one will see it. I said, what are you, sneaking into a drive-in movie?
Oh,
I said, come on. So we really, that was when the show was small, and there was nothing. But now you're talking different.
Yeah.
So we've had all kinds of fun stories about how much fun it is to do all of this. Now it's all of that. It's all disappeared and everything is pretty tight. So it's cool.
To give you an idea, Bernard, the first year I started doing interviews for on-the-spot interviews, which was like 5 years ago or 6 years ago, that weekend, I never left the Better Living Center. And I mean, it was just like by Sunday at 2 or 3 o'clock, I suddenly realized I had barely left my part of the building. Never mind that left the building. It was like there's just so much going on. It's pointless to try to take it in. It's just
if you think about 10-foot aisles, and when it's at its peak, you cannot see cement.
Yeah.
You can't. There's so many people that the fire marshals get worried and say, John, if it gets much more, we have to nightclub it. And night clubbing is slang for you can't go in until 5 people come out,
right.
And then more people could go in. And we've been lucky though. So.
Well, if you're looking for me, I will be in 336 square feet in Section 19 and probably won't be leaving those 336 square feet.
I predict you rarely will move, Bernard, because you're going to be busy. And you're not going to be able to move because you're going to have dozens of people watching the whole time.
You're going to have all kinds of people.
You're going to have a wall of people.
I'm thinking stanchions might be a good idea.
Well, we actually do have barrier. So
yeah, that's my
okay. Well, we're going to talk about Wi-Fi, stanchions, carpeting, all sorts of things. So I'll be popping you an email.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to demand that? Can I be part of that conversation?
Well, you got your parking spots, so
Bernard, you should charge a fee for people to watch.
Yeah. There you go. You're going to be right near the door too. People are going to be going nuts watching this. Yeah. I'm going to be excited just to go down and watch.
You remember how much fun it was at Tomstock. I mean, it became a spectator sport.
Well,
2 nights.
I mean, I don't want to say it was the highlight for me because it was the Bud car, I think, was the highlight. But I mean, it was a close number 2.
Yeah.
I'm actually worried that you're at the door and the fire marshals are going to say,
So is he the spot beside the door or the next one over?
No, he's right next to the door.
Ooh. Wow.
The door to what?
The door to the next world.
There's 9 doors to the building.
Right.
And you're at door 8, which is the one that has a vestibule outside to protect you from the cold.
Right.
And inside that area is where the ATMs are.
But that's a through door. Like it's not just an alcove. It goes right to the outside.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's several exits to the outside. Yeah, there's one door. There's 2 double doors that get you in the building. But once you're in that vestibule area, there's many double doors to get you out.
Right.
If there's a lot of people blocking the exit,
okay,
we will probably get spoken to.
Okay, so we're gonna need barriers and crowd control and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's all right.
All right, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do whatever they tell us.
Oh my God. I'm going to do the same thing that I do to David Leobach every year. This has become a regular bit of mine. I think he's caught on now, but for the first couple of 3 years, or I would, like, at least the last year and the year before, it's been about 3 years now. I walk up to him at about 10 o'clock on Saturday morning when this is Tangent Models, David Leobach of Tangent Models. And I mean, he's got his 3 or 4 guys helping him. He's got this massive crowd around his table. He's selling cars as fast as he can move. And I walk up to him with my microphone and I go, David, can we do an interview now? And the first couple of years, I get this deer in the headlight look like.
Yeah.
He's like, can you come back? I'm like, yeah, I'll come back. Don't worry about it, buddy. All right, that's it. I think we're covered. Man, this has been a lot of fun, John. Every year, it's a lot of fun doing this interview.
Yeah, it is.
I
enjoy it.
Me too. It's a lot of fun, and I really, really, I mean, everything I meant. I meant it 100%. You're a very kind gentleman, and you do a lot of good for the world. So you keep it up.
Thank you.
And remember, this podcast, like all of our Free Monday podcasts, is brought to you by Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Exactly.
Love it. Love it.
Great announcer voice.
Yeah, and you can find them at rapidotrains.com. You can't go
And
wrong.
they will be at the show as well. So
and
look
they'll
them up
be at the show. So yeah, come on up and say hi. And
Yeah, they've got new bigger space in the Mallory complex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool, and I'm very excited. And every year, one of my favorite things is Fred Hill from the Whistle Stop is right across the aisle from us. And I talked to him I think it was even last year or the year before, and I said something about a bigger space or a different space, and he went, "Lionel, I've been here for God knows it was almost as long as Jim Sacco." He says, "I wouldn't give up my spot for my couple of tables for any money in the world," because he said people know where he is, and they come back every year and they find him, and it's like the Disney World of model railroading. That's probably the best way to describe it. I am so looking forward to this year. I am so looking forward to giving Bernard a hard time.
Oh,
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Lots of fun. Lots of fun.
All right. Bernard, Kelly, can you give out our email address?
Yes, I can give out the email address. You can reach us at email modelerslife@gmail.com. And that's one L as Springfield, not two L's like Lionel.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Nice.
You're just like an on-air personality.
I know, but everything's still my fault.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, John, this might actually be helpful to you. If anything goes wrong at the show, it's Kelly's fault.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, Kelly takes full responsibility. He doesn't want to, but he has to, because everything is Kelly's fault. And he claims he lives in Medford, Oregon, has an international airport. I think that's all you can get out of there is like in a 4-seater Cessna.
Yeah.
And we have a website, amodelerslife.com. If you didn't catch the email address, you just go to the website, amodelerslife.com. Scroll down a little bit until you see the picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state. Click on that picture, and boom, the email address is already filled in. All you got to do is fill in your text. We love emails, complaints, questions, whatever you want to do. Just email us, and we'll talk about it on one of our viewer mail shows. What else, Bruce? Oh, yeah, and there's the Patreon channel if you like the free stuff, which is brought to you by Rapido Trains at rapidotrains.com. If you like that.
Fast track to model railroading fun.
Exactly. I love that. And if you like this podcast and you'd like more, you just go to click on Patreon, and for a few cents a day, you can listen to 2 podcasts a week. And like I say, John, I'm sure you've listened to all of them and some of them twice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, Lionel.
Yes.
Do you think John would like a T-shirt with a hot dog on it?
Oh, I'm sure he would.
Hey, yeah, John, have you ever thought about having a T-shirt with a hot dog on it?
I never have until this very moment.
Well, if you go to Midwest Model Railroad and their URL is midwestmodelrr.com, and you go across the navigation bar and click on AML, boom, you are in a wonderland of AML merchandise. Hats, T-shirts, mugs, hoodies, and in that collection, there is a T-shirt with a hot dog on it.
I just wrote that all down. So thanks.
And they got great customer service.
Great customer service at Midwest Model Railroad.
I purchased something last night, and I got an email that in about half an hour saying that it's already shipped.
I thought you were going to get an email from them saying, "Don't ever bother us again."
No, I was cashing in. I was cashing in my gift certificate.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Gave me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and they sell stuff from Rapido Trains.
Yeah.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
That's going to be like Ron's Trains.
It's actually like a movie, Young Frankenstein, whenever they said Frau Blucher, and then the horses.
Oh, boy.
So, John, are you ready? You can take us out of here. This isn't an episode. This is you might catch on. You've been on the podcast enough that you might catch on, but you might forget. So
I always forget.
We'll give you a test run. So remember, A Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
Okay.
Yeah,
That was my test, right?
Yeah, that was
That
it.
was your
Yeah.
test.
Yeah, you fill in the blank.
And John, you failed miserably on the test.
Yeah. And I knew it was coming too. And I was
So-
now what did I
Yeah,
come
you
up
fill
with
in
for
the
last
blank.
episode?
You fill in the
Yeah.
blank with something creative. Can you be?
Yes, I know. I know.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's try again. No, that was like, let's pretend that never happened.
Yeah, you could edit that away, right?
Sure, we can.
absolutely,
Everything.
yeah.
Yeah, this is all edited. Yeah, this is all scripted. Everybody thinks it's on the cuff, but even John attended the read through 2 days ago for the script.
I've got the cricket sounds chirping all queued up for.
Yeah.
Why are we boring you?
No, just in case.
Do you really think you want to be irritating me when I have an opportunity to have endless hours of fun at Springfield at section 19 beside the door?
Would it make
you know what's going to happen, Bernard? He's not bringing donuts. He'll be walking by eating donuts.
Oh, there you go. I got to stand there with the crowd watching him eating a donut. I'm going to be eating a donut while I... hey, Bernard,
we
these
could
donuts...
scan you eating a donut.
Yeah, well, yeah, but we've done enough. Then I would really look annoyed. Okay, are you ready, John?
I am ready.
So remember, a Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
Adam's family members.
Portions of this podcast was sponsored by Pakalana Inn. Pakalana Inn is located on the Big Island of Hawaii in historic and beautiful downtown Hilo. Our 5 bedrooms are recently renovated and feature modern conveniences of home. Every room has a view and the staff is
marginally adequate.
Check us out at pakalanainn.com.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
Wow.
Especially Wednesday.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
That was very creative. Nice
Where
job.
did that come from? Are you watching it?
I just saw Wednesday on Netflix. It
There
was
you go.
hysterical.
Oh, fantastic.
Hysterical.
I think it's one of the best
got to
ones.
have the right attitude though. But it was just really funny.
Were there trains in it?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
John, Kelly has a bad attitude.